You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Seasonings greetings to you. That means, I think, that I have to throw salt and pepper at you somehow, but I'm not sure how to do that through the podcast. What if I just throw some seasonings at my microphone and then you just sneeze on cue? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sneeze now! Yes, seasonings greetings. Excellent work. That is how you do it, isn't it? I'm sure that's why it's called seasonings greetings. Yes, it's me, Tiernan, who you might know from that time I went to the shop, or more famously from when I walked around my home on a Thursday. And this is another Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast, suitable for all ages from 2. I'm not sure what time or day it is where you are in the world, but here where I am at Comedy Club for Kids HQ, it's, hang on, actually I haven't actually checked what time or day it is. Hang on a second. Linda, what day is it today, Linda? Linda? Where is she? Who is she? So curious. Never mind, I'm going to look at my sundial that our resident tortoise Clive carries around. He'll be able to tell me, and he'll get here in a minute. Hang on, sort of any minute now. He'll get here in a minute. Come on, Clive. Do hurry up. Any minute now. Clive will get here. And there he is. Yes, it's December. There you go, it's December. That's what it is right now. I can't actually read a sundial, but Clive's face has frost on it, so that's usually how I tell what day or at least what month it is. And he's eating an advent calendar chocolate. I like December. I don't know about you, because I think there's just so many ththings that you only get to do in December, depending on sort of what holidays you might celebrate. You might, like me, celebrate Christmas, which is when everyone talks about crisps and eats crisps, and they will discuss how great crisps are. And then on Christmas Day, you find Father Christmas has left crisps all over your floor and then trodden on them, and it's a real mess, and you have to hoover them up. But then luckily all your shoes are full of crisps too, because Father Christmas has left them there, and then you get to eat more crisps. It's brilliant. And then on Boxing Day you eat all the leftover crisps. It's one of my favourite times of the year. In the US, in the States and other parts of the world, I know you call it Chipmas, and it's mostly the same but with more Dipmas, which you have on Boxing Day. Or you might not celebrate that. You might celebrate Hanukkah, which is when a lovely person called Hannah sits in a car and then everyone waves at her as she drives around. It's a really lovely one, that. Or there's in other parts of the world, of course, you might celebrate in December Rohatsu, which is where Sue, who's also another lovely person, she wears a hat and then she rows a boat and everyone waves at her, and that's also lovely. Or there's also Omisoka, which is where you lose a sock and then you tell everyone how sad about it you are. Or if you're a Wookiee, of course, December's important because that's when it's Life Day, which is very serious, and it involves singing very serious Wookiee songs like "Arr!" and of course the really beautiful one "Arr!" So, you might have all sorts of things that you do in the lead up to your celebrations, depending on which ones you do. But me, I've got an advent calendar, because it's December, so that's very exciting. Basically, my one's quite special. It's just got one really big door, and when I open it every morning, there's something different behind it. Yeah, yesterday I opened it and there was a pavement, a tree and a car and then a road, and then across the road another car, another pavement, another tree and a house and a very, very cross-looking cat. And then this morning I opened it and there was a postman and he looked really surprised. It never stops being exciting. I absolutely love advent calendars. One of the other things that we used to have in our home on a December is an elf on a shelf. I don't know if you've got one of those, but let me tell you, I wasn't having that. I'm not having an elf on a shelf. I don't like that this little elf has been sent to spy on me, right? That's rude, isn't it? It's nosy. Firstly, as well, he's a rubbish spy. He's wearing green and red and white stripy tights. So, I mean, I could see him. That's not a good spy, is it? How are you meant to stealth mode and sneak around like that? I mean, I'm going to see you if you dress in a little green top and red and white stripy tights. If Father Christmas wants spies, he should use ninjas. They'd be way better. So anyway, I didn't like being spied on. I don't like it. It's horrible and it's nosy and none of his business. So I got very sick of him sitting on a shelf and deciding whether I'd been good or bad. So I took him hostage and I tied his little arms and legs together with sellotape and I shone my phone light in his face and I shouted, "What do you know about me? What are you telling your boss? You don't know nothing." And then he got really upset and he said that he knew that I'd done several farts and blamed them on my daughter. So all I was getting for Christmas was going to be a stinky yak. And I was like, well, I don't need a stinky yak. I've still got quite a few. Still got like a whole cupboard full of stinky hippos. I mean, it's quite I don't know. You can't really donate them. Nowhere really wants them. If you say I've got lots, does anyone need them? Maybe I could. I took them to a charity shop. They just gave them back. Anyway, so I've not let the elf go until he's promised to report back that actually I've been amazing this year and I deserve some really great presents like lots of crisps. But the problem is, what I didn't realise, you're not even meant to sort of like touch or annoy an elf on the shelf, let alone take one hostage. So what's happened now is, unfortunately, I've had even more serious spies sent to my home by Father Christmas. I've now got a gnome on my phone, which is very annoying. I can't use my phone because this little gnome just keeps going, get off, and it's awful. There's a witch on my Nintendo Switch, so I can't play on that anymore because she keeps putting spells on me if I try. There's a merman on the shower curtain, and he seems quite happy there, actually. He's quite nice. And there's a troll on the toilet roll who's less happy about being there, and it makes it very hard when you need the loo. And there's a manticore on our kitchen door who just yells at me whenever I make a sandwich. Basically, I wouldn't recommend it. It's really not worth the effort. Leave those elves alone. I've not had a sandwich in December since 1741. It's awful. It's really awful. Thanks for your amazing emails, questions, and big thanks to Samara for your lovely podcast review, and to 111GMAD44 who asked a question too. And their question was, how do you make a podcast? And that is a really good question that I wish I knew. I'm going to look it up for you, and hopefully I'll get around to ask a comedian to answer it for you in a future podcast episode that I have no idea how to make, which is it's really tricky, isn't it? Linda, how do you make a podcast? Linda? Where is she? Why is she? On that note, and on that note as well, after this week's episode, there's going to be a tiny break in the Radio Nonsense podcast until the new year. Now, I know we've still got so many questions of yours to answer, and I'm very sorry if you sent yours in, you're still waiting to hear, what the answer to yours is if you've sent it in. But it is on my list. I've got it. I've received them all, and I hope to get loads more answered in 2022, which will be next year, unless you live in the past, in which case it's in several years' time. And there's going to be a special Christmas Radio Nonsense podcast in just a few weeks' time. So if you have any specific Christmas or indeed Christmas or Hanukkah or any of those other ones, any other winter celebration-based questions that you need to ask, then do get your frosty, bleating fart pumpers, grown-ups, to help you email them over to us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk, along with, anything else you like, Christmassy or not. And any non-Christmas questions will, of course, get added to my list for next year too. My list is like Father Christmas deals with his list quite sort of the same date every year, whereas mine's just ongoing. And I don't know if it's that rewarding. It doesn't really matter if you've been naughty or nice. I'll still answer it though, so that's a bonus, isn't it? Anyway, and now on this note, here is this week's importantest bit.
A new sport was born, a pointless one, but new.
Hooray! It's Bethany Black, also known as Bethany, chair of the Society for Creatures with at least one knee, pioneer of the global gaming phenomenon that is breadball, and as all the listeners will of course know you, the 12 times Nobel Prize winner for making the most inappropriate noises at very important events. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so glad you managed to get all of my accolades in. Very proud of that Nobel Prize, particularly. Pioneering the farty noise in assembly. That was me. I invented that. I invented the armpit fart way back in 1832.
Wow! Was that the first ever one? So before that, no one had ever. Because I don't want to take this away from you. I knew it was you, but I hadn't realised no one had.
No one had ever that was it. It was a pure accident at the time. I was sat in assembly. It was incredibly boring. It was going on for such a long time. We were being told the dangers of crossing the road with our local police officer, PC Pickles, and genuine name. And and I got so bored, and I just kind of gave it a go and discovered that I could do invented the armpit fart there and then.
Wow.
Just at the point where he said, "And what do you do when you reach the edge of the curb, children?" With perfect timing. And that was what launched me on the career that I have today. So.
And can I what was that initial reaction like from the people around? Because they must have been excited but confused. They'd never heard anything quite like that before.
Oh yeah. It was there was a pause, then there was a laugh, then there was a big cheer, round of applause. Some kid, because obviously it was way back in the ancient times, sunglasses down, went, "Hey kid, I like your style." And that was what launched me on my career, to be totally honest.
That's incredible. And what are the because that's obviously like, you know, that's the classic, the you know that you invented. Where have you kind of progressed to? Because you've been doing this for quite some years now, and you just keep winning prizes for it. Is the thing, as I said, that everyone knows you for? You know, are you struggling to come up with new ways? Is there, you know, how do you get inspiration?
It is difficult to come up with new ways. The one that I'm most proud of after that one it's an ever so slight change of pace to that one. It's an ever so slight upgrade because it doesn't require you to have your hand under your shirt, which is the palm fart, which has that nice
wow,
the nice high pitched sound, you know. And that's what you want. That's the one that you want to be able to do, because no one can spot you doing that one. It is. It's a very pleasing noise, isn't it? You can manage to do that one, and no one knows that's what you're doing, because you know it's a nice secret one. You can manage to use that one to play tricks, and that was the one that I did at the United Nations that eventually got me the Nobel Prize.
That's incredible.
Yeah. There we go.
Incredible. Who was?
I've never told this story before.
Well, thank you for honouring us with it right now. I mean, I have to say I'm completely and utterly in awe. And I mean, because when it was at the United Nations, that was when it was all the world leaders were on the stage, wasn't it? And if I remember, there was almost a sort of kerfuffle about who's done that, who's let that one off.
I know.
And it was you all along.
It was me all along. I was sat there at the side with the translators with the little microphone, and I did it into the microphone, the little. Just as Kofi Annan was finishing his address, and pandemonium. There was pandemonium. Yeah. It was one of the high points of my career. And obviously afterwards, when everyone realised, they were like, "That was the funniest," and that was when I got the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was so well deserved. And honestly, I think, you know, looking at all the Nobel Prizes over the years, I don't know. If any are as well deserved as yours, you know, I think of all these ones. You've invented. You've found an antibiotic. Yeah, whatever. But nothing is like the palm fart. Like that is incredible.
Well, exactly. What I was thinking was though, when I was about to receive, because they take you off to Stockholm and they give you a big gold medal, and it's presented by the King of Sweden, King Gustav. And but the thing was, there was so much pressure on me at that point to. You know, for the noises at the most inappropriate moments, that I realised that as I was receiving it, the funniest thing was just at the point that I was going to kneel down, because everyone was expecting that as I kneeled down to get the medal, you know, kneel down in front of the king hands you the medal, you go, "Thank you very much." Everyone was expecting that would be the moment as I went in for the kneel, and I just didn't. I left it, and I think that will be my crowning glory, that when the time came, that what was even funnier, everyone was expecting it, and you didn't do it.
Yeah, well, there's a real power there, isn't there? That, you know, that's art. That's what I'd say art is. Sometimes people struggle to describe what art is, but I think it's knowing, you know, it's not playing to expectations. It's not playing for the crowd. It's playing for yourself, but also creating something brilliant out of that. You know, they might expect the fart. Then that's why you don't give it to them. You save it for a better
knowing
moment.
when to hold it in and knowing when to let it go. That is the secret to art.
That is amazing. Can I just ask, the gold medal, is it gold or was it chocolate? Because
it is actually chocolate. Oh, it is actually chocolate. Not very many people know that, but they've all been chocolate, apart from the Nobel Peace Prize that they gave to Henry Kissinger, which was actual gold, and he lost 3 teeth trying to bite into it. So
wow,
yeah. And that's why they switched back over to chocolate. Actually, You know, it is a good trick. Because everyone was like, "Why did he get the Nobel Peace Prize?" Well. It was the best trick the Swedes have ever played, because obviously they're neutral. They can't take part in any wars. They have no idea what happened between 1939 and 1945. They've checked with Spain. They checked with Ireland. Nothing was happening.
You know, they have this constant problem of, as Swedes, they both have to be people and vegetables at the same time, and that you've got to be. It's a really careful balance, and I don't know how they achieve it. I don't know how they manage that. Actually, I'd find that quite hard. But they've got to somehow be part of your 5 a day, especially during winter months, and also a nation of people. Yeah. And they manage. I mean, they manage it. They manage it every time.
They manage it incredibly well. I think it's all down to the cold. And when they're little, they go and put them outside for in their little boxes for half an hour, sweeten them up.
Yes,
much like parsnips.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well. I mean, what an intro. Thank
We're
you
talking
so
about the
much
big.
for,
It's the big topics today.
It
But
is
hello,
the big
Tiernan.
topics.
How are
but
you
I
doing?
feel like, the listeners have already learned so much. I mean, we barely even. I was going to ask how you are. We barely even got to just the polite, normal questions before we've got there. The listeners have already learned so much about global politics, about
I know, right?
life-changing inventions. I mean, it's
Not
big.
really what you expect from a kid show normally, is it? But yeah, here we go.
But
Also,
again,
apologies.
That's why it's basically art. What they expect is not what they're going to get.
Apologies, by the way, if anyone can hear in the background. I'm not on a nuclear submarine. My boiler in the room that I'm in keeps making strange noises as if it's about to explode. I'm fairly sure it isn't. Fingers crossed. That could be how this entire thing ends.
I should say that is also the kind of excuse you would give if you were on a top secret nuclear submarine and you didn't want anyone to know on the podcast. Which is what I also would have said if you definitely weren't on a nuclear submarine and I wanted to distract people from your actual secret location.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, yeah. I hope though your boiler doesn't explode at the end of this. Although if it does, I'll try and we'll add some jingles so it sounds exciting.
Yeah, we can make it sound festive as well. We are coming up to Christmas.
That's it. That's it. Are you feeling ready for festivities?
I'm very ready for the festivities. I'm very excited. I'm about to get the tree out.
Whoa.
And put it up and then watch all three of our cats attempt to destroy it over the next month. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Isn't it? It's just like a giant scratching post for cats, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They see the nice twinkly things on it and they go, oh, that looks very much like something I'd like to hunt. And you can see the mischief in their eyes. And they are about to dive on that and bring that down as quickly as humanly possible. And go, look at what I did. I rescued you. I rescued you from the terrible fate of having to look at nice sparkly baubles and a big tree.
It's one of those things that it's amazing that we've had, that Christmas trees have survived. They're sort of evergreen trees. They survive all year, but there are so many cats around. You think they'd just be destroyed? I mean, I suppose, as you said, it's the sparkly things. We don't put baubles on them all year round. Otherwise, I worry that forests would just be destroyed by cats.
They would, yeah. If you want to go and bring down an entire forest of pine trees, just go and wrap them in tinsel, put some baubles on them, and they'll attract all of the local house cats. You just see you'd see a herd of them just heading on. It'd be like a stampede, like in an old cowboy movie of cattle, but like that, but with cats. A bunch of decorative predators heading towards the forest.
Decorative predator. I love that term. I also like that you've just, it's always that phrase, it'd be trying to herd cats, and they always say that as though it's something impossible, but just there, you've proved how you could do it really easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to another Nobel Prize, to be totally honest with you.
You should be. You absolutely should be. Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that we, trees, because you said we're going to get the tree out, which is exactly what I would say as well. We're going to get the tree out, but trees are already out, and we bring them in, and then we subject them to torture from cats. It does feel pretty mean we dress them up. We go, yeah, you got to wear these baubles, these silly baubles, and then we're going to let a cat attack you. There's part of me that always feels every year like this is a little bit mean to trees.
It's I'm getting back to my Viking roots, or at least my partner's Viking roots, because my partner is Swedish, very much a Viking, and but a vegetarian Viking. So obviously you can't go and bring the bodies of your dead into your house. So instead you have to go and it's the vegetarian alternative to a lot of the Viking showing your enemies that you have slain their heroes by bringing a tree into your house. Thing of,
they sort of drank blood from the skull of their enemy, or drank from the skull. Do vegetarian Vikings have to sort of hollow out a potato or something and then just...
Yeah, I reckon that's where the original Halloween pumpkins came from.
Yes, yeah.
Hollow out a pumpkin, drink some pumpkin soup from it. What they don't know is that there were an awful lot of vegetarian Vikings out there who were taking part in this.
I love the idea of veggie Vikings. I think, I'm a veggie and I've got a beard, so I feel like all I'd need is a sort of hat with maybe 2 carrots on it for the sort of horn bits. Which
obviously, that's what you'd need.
Yeah, and then I'm hopefully I could be. Yeah, I like that, and you can have a long boat with them.
Well, this is it. I always think I have a lot of thought because my partner, as I've mentioned, my partner she is from Sweden, and so I've thought a lot about Vikings, and I thought longboats, good, more people if you put them on a wide boat.
Yes.
But I also suspect that if I was to suggest that, that would involve me getting thrown into the icy waters. Listen, lads, we need a wide boat.
It's such a good idea. But then the problem with wide boat is you'd have a whole load of people in the middle who wouldn't contribute. So you'd have loads of people that'd be like, why am I rowing? It's, well, you took the edge seat. Whereas everyone in the middle would just be having a lovely time. And I feel like that would cause a lot of animosity.
Everyone in the middle
Vikings.
sat looking at their phones going, no, it's fine. Yeah, you're doing all right. Yeah, carry on.
Just making veggie club sandwiches. Yeah.
Just sat there playing Candy Crush going, no, it's good. Yeah, no, we're going to be ready.
Yeah.
Of course, when they got there, the ones who've been rowing, they'd all be big and strong, and the ones who've been sat in the middle would be going, right, okay, ooh, we didn't get enough exercise. Our muscles have wasted away whilst we've been on the boat for 3 weeks. We're not going to do great in this battle, lads. I think that's
stay on the
possibly why
boat
they
and
went.
play on our phones, and then they just sit on the boat.
Yeah.
They'd wait for everyone to come back. I mean, they'd be awful. They'd be all the Vikings.
Yeah, they'd be the worst
hated.
Vikings. That's possibly why they went and switched over to the longboats, because they tried the wide boat and they didn't get very far. Longboat managed to find America 400 years before Columbus. Wide boat, not really doing out.
It's a really good point. I mean, it's one of those things, because my image of Vikings is always kind of the ones I had as a kid, which is, that they had sort of horned hats, which apparently they didn't, and then they had axes, and they'd turn up and they'd go, I will destroy everything and set fire to everything, I'm a Viking, and they'd be awesome and, overly violent. And actually, the real reality is they were just on boat, they were just rowing for ages. And then they did
just
some
2
farming.
weeks of rowing.
Yeah.
And then when they got to England, they saw monasteries and went, they look easy. Because, monks in the UK, monks in England, and they're not going to be fighting the same way, like the Shaolin monks that you see in Kung Fu movies. It's a very different thing. They didn't learn any, martial arts. They just sat and read for months on end. So, and also, the Picts and the Celts who were in this country were all, they were all quite small people, as opposed to the Vikings who were all 6'2" and had been rowing for 3 days. So they turn up, they sack a monastery and these terrifying, big, huge monster men and women arriving on these boats and covering it, because there were quite a lot of women Vikings as well, raiding off the boats, taking down these monasteries, and it's terrified. They sound like a vicious fighting force. Who did they go and kill? What did they go? Monks, did they? All right, okay. Were they particularly buff monks? Had they been doing a lot of it? No, just reading by candlelight. Are you sure they weren't just normal, average people who'd done some work?
Yeah, it does really ruin the myth. And it's like, who have you fought? The man that was sitting in a sack reading a book. That's what the balding man in a sack. These people who go to bed at 8 o'clock and wake up at 3 in the morning. Yeah. And we struck at midnight, right? So they were asleep, and you burst in with your axes to see a bunch of monks who had nothing. Yep, they were probably doing a vow of silence. They probably couldn't even sort of yell or anything. They'd probably just have to be quiet and go, all right, I'll get hit in the face then. Wow.
Trying to figure out, it must have taken them years to work out exactly what the mime for the Vikings are coming. I suppose they'd do the little 2 horns on the top of their head.
Yeah.
And they'd go, Vikings, and they go, what? Cows?
Yeah,
Bulls
people
charging?
Goats? You're getting attacked by a goat, yeah.
Yeah, just doing that. No, because they'd start off, they go, oh, cows. And they go, no. And then they do the beard mime to show the beard. And it's like, oh, right, goats. Yeah, okay, goats. Oh,
yeah.
They're not goats. That's your lifeblood. Yeah, absolutely. Terrifying.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. I mean, it really, I like that you single-handedly sort of just ruined the entire Viking myth that they're any sort of tough people. But as we discussed, they are also vegetables. They managed to do a lot all at once, and I think we've got to give them credit for making boats long. And hey, we could be overrun by monks right now, and imagine how boring that would be. So if anything, maybe we've got the Vikings to thank for us not being
bringing over
all monks.
Tunes like ABBA, because before that all we had was Gregorian chants, just hundreds of years of monks going, can you pass the salt and pepper, please? And then ding, 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 ding. Over they come. What'll do? Over they come in their matching outfits. See, they. They don't talk about this much in history, and they should do.
They don't. They absolutely should do. And I have to. There's a little bit of me that is sad we don't only speak in Gregorian chant now. Purely, I mean, and maybe not only. I wouldn't want it as the only way of communicating, but there are times I'd quite like, "Can I have a cup of tea?" I think that would be a better way to ask for it sometimes.
Have you flushed the toilet, please?
I wouldn't go in there for a while. I mean, it's good fun. Like, it does make some things sound nicer than they are.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It really takes the edge off. So anyway,
Yes.
hi Tiernan.
Right,
How are you?
Hi. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's so lovely. It's so lovely to have you on the show. And I realise we've been discussing all these important things. Haven't asked how you are. I haven't asked you. You've already done a favourite noise. I should say the two big questions I have to ask you for this show, because it's an audio podcast. One is I was going to ask you if you had a favourite noise for the podcast, but I realise you've already done one, which is of course the palm fart. But I don't want to suppose that's your favourite. I mean, do you have another one? Is that the one you want to give us?
That's quite a nice little one.
Wow.
The little weird cheek chicken noise that you can do.
Sorry, can you do that? Was incredible. Can I just let the listeners know that the face that Bethany is doing while she does that is also unbelievably good.
Sorry, I saw my face whilst I was doing it on the camera. I've never looked at my face whilst I do that.
It's brilliant.
And,
it's wonderful.
Yeah. And it made me smile and ruined the end of the noise. Yeah, it's basically managing to get some air into one of your cheeks and then stopping it from getting past your teeth, but then using using your hand to kind of knock little bits of it out.
It's really good. When
When I was a child, when I was little, I wanted to there was a comedian called Michael Winslow who was in a bunch of films, who had and he was quite a famous comedian outside of that as well, who just used to do lots of different special effects and noises with his mouth, and I was obsessed with that and wanting to be a circus performer when I was wanted to be a stunt performer was what I wanted to do. I wanted to do stunts in movies, and so I went and taught myself all manner of different. Tried to teach myself all manner of different things. Tried to make as many different noises as I could, learn how to do them, and also managed to and I also once tried to teach. Spent a long time trying to teach myself how to sword swallow using a ruler. And don't do that, children. It's a terrible thing. You end up just throwing up an awful lot.
You can then find out how long your throat is, I suppose, can't you? That's quite handy. At the same time, it's awful, but at the same time, you come out and go, oh, it's exactly, which is useful, I suppose, maybe to know.
When I was little, I knew that it was 5 centimetres from my teeth to my uvula, that little punch bag thing that hangs down the back of your throat. So, I learnt that.
Can I ask, with the combination, because that's such a good combination of things to learn, is you both want to do stunts and make noises, and I feel like sometimes what's missing from really good stunts in films is a brilliant noise, a completely inappropriate noise to accompany it. Like, I quite like the idea of somebody like falling out of a window as they make a chicken noise.
Yeah, I'd quite like that, or somebody getting shot and hitting the ground and they're dead, and just as the police officer goes over to look at them, there's just a little Just lying there. It'd be perfect.
Oh no, that would be my favourite thing in the world. Oh no. More of that, please. You see, this is a whole career. I'm very glad that you do comedy, Bethany, and you do. But I feel like there's some, and obviously you do your noises, but I feel like there's an opportunity missed here to make possibly the greatest moment in any film that would ever happen.
I did that.
The thing is,
I was in Doctor Who a couple of years ago, and I played a character called 474, and a bit of a spoiler, I die. And during one take, I did do that noise with my hands, and it was wonderful. Completely ruined it for everyone.
Why didn't they put that take in? Come on,
They should have done. They should have done. It was...
If those people, if the Doctor Who production team are listening, and that exists somewhere, please, can you release it as a Christmas special in itself? just for everyone. I think we need that. Yeah.
At the end of particularly serious scenes, when you really have to get into the character and you really have to, add a lot of, because I've done some like big heavy hitting drama where I have to be, where people you get to the end of a scene that you've done and you can see like crew members on the verge of tears because you've filled the room with that emotion, and I'm just a comedian at heart, and so I can't let that happen at all. So whenever we get to the end of a take where it's like I did a show where I had to cry a lot, and it's really difficult to cry not only on demand but also in front of TV cameras for a thing, because you're really happy to be working and it makes it really difficult to cry. And what I would always do at the end of one of those is just clap my hands and go, acting, just so that they were aware. Just to make sure that no one was sad afterwards.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. This again why you've got those Nobel Prizes is exactly why. You just keep proving it. Well, I still haven't recovered from the fart after someone dies, but it might take a while.
Oh no, she's dead.
Oh, it's genuinely one of the best things I've ever heard.
Or like do it reverse so it's nice and slow with her.
Oh wow. Reverse. Does that mean your bum sort of sucked a fart back in?
Suck in the back. Yeah. Like Le Pétomane, the famous French flatulist.
Yes, I don't know if listeners know about this. There was a French performer who just would fart on cue.
Yeah.
So
Le Pétomane is a flatulist is how he was billed.
Yes.
And so they'd go and like play things like the Blue Danube Waltz, and he'd go da 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. And he'd fart along to it. It was like everyone was, oh, who is this crazy guy? He's fantastic. Let's go and watch him. And he was a big star in Paris in the 1890s.
I was going to say that's art, but that is fart, is what it is.
Yeah. And the fartist. That's what he is.
Fartist, yes. He's an absolute fartist.
He's an absolute fartist.
Yeah, well... Oh, goodness. Right. Well, thank you for that. But the other question that I have to ask you, of course, for this show is a family-friendly show. It's suitable for all possible ages that you can ever imagine. Go on, imagine an age. Imagine one.
Oh, yeah, I'm imagining one.
Yeah, it's suitable for that one. Yeah. There you go.
Brilliant.
You go. See, I told
Brilliant.
you.
Yeah.
So because of that, I just want to make sure that you're not going to say any rude words that will upset anyone. I wonder if you could tell us one of the rude words you definitely won't be saying.
Flange.
Yeah, please don't. Oh, no, please don't say flange.
Yeah, not allowed to say that one. No.
No, that is awful. No, definitely. You don't say flange. I won't say flange. We'll make sure that it's absolutely an episode where no one says.
That's good. Yeah, you need
Thank
to.
you. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you. Well, now that we've got
I can actually feel a slight rush of adrenaline that I may have actually gone too far there already.
I'm not entirely sure. I'll be honest. We'll see what happens.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
But but by telling listeners you're not going to say flange, and now we all know that flange isn't going to be said. I think we're going to be. We should be.
I think we can all. Yeah. Okay. Good.
I think
good.
We'll be
just
safe.
as long as I don't say flange and you don't say flange, we'll all.
No
be
one's
fine,
going to say flange. It's fine, cool. And now listeners know that this is safe for all 203-year-olds. It's fine. They can listen to this. 1-year-olds.
You've got to be careful because they might get a bit of a shock.
Well, that is it.
And even so, it's cool.
Well, thank you, Bethany. I really appreciate it.
All right.
I really appreciate that. Right. Well, the reason I've asked you to come on the show, firstly, because it's just great to have you here, but also because I think you are the person that can answer this important question that we have been sent in, and this has come from Elijah in Calgary, which is
Alberta.
very exciting. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's the
Canada.
place, is it? Not the person.
Oh, Canada. I don't know the second line. My home and native. I know that much.
You did know the second line.
Elijah.
That was good.
I did know the second line. I don't know the third line. I've realised. Yeah.
I don't know if many people know past the second line of any national anthem. I think most national anthems are always the first bit, and then you have to go da, 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 like it's.
Now with the American national anthem, I was a lot older than I should have been when I realised that the first line was "Oh, say, can you see?" not "Jose, can you see?" I assumed it was about. It was a story of two people trying to get to America, And as they approach the border, it's like, Jose, can you see? By the dawn's early light. And I was like, oh, it's really rousing. And it's like, oh, no, it's not at all.
No, but I love that. I love that it'd just be addressing, hey, Jose, can you see?
Jose, can you see?
There's something really nice about that. Yeah, I
think so.
Good mishearing. Good mishearing. Well, I'm very, very impressed with your knowledge of the Canadian national anthem. I hope Elijah is too. And Elijah's got this question, and I think you're going to like this. This is quite an inventive question and a very important one. I think it's one that hasn't been asked yet on this show. But Elijah wants to know, what if cats only came in the colours of the rainbow, and what colour would you want?
Oh, wow. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Because, right, I think I would go for, and I don't know whether this is cheating or not, but I would go for ultraviolet, which is the one that's just beyond the visible bit of because it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But at each end of that, the one that's just out of the human range of vision is infrared, and at the red end, and ultraviolet at the violet end. This is, and so that's it. Because I would quite like an ultraviolet cat, because then whenever you smiled, your teeth would glow, and that would be amazing.
Well, that would be great, but also you'd then find it quite hard to see your cat, wouldn't you?
Well, until the cat smiled, and then with its glowing teeth, you'd be able to know exactly where it was.
I mean, that sounds terrible. Imagine waking up in the night.
That is terrifying.
I haven't got a cat. Sadly, but when I was a kid, I had cats. I love cats. And there would be times where you'd wake up and there'd just be like a cat sitting on your head, or like, or a cat on the end of your bed. And if it was just like this, what's that on my head? And then just these teeth
it would be
in
like,
the dark.
It'd be like a sleep paralysis demon, wouldn't it?
It's so scary.
Yeah, I've not thought this through. I've ruined this. What I think possibly, because the other downside I can see to this is that it would just look like two eyes and a bumhole floating around, and
which is
what it'd be, wouldn't it?
Really grim, actually.
I mean, especially because you can see this because we're chatting on a Zoom call, but you can see there's my cat Spruce, who's lying on my bed in the back. She's on top of some knitted slipper socks that my step grandmother-in-law has. How is that a relationship? But it is. My girlfriend's stepdad's mum knitted for me.
Right.
So Spruce is over there, and Spruce particularly has a very odd bum because for some reason, because of the shape of her bum, it looks like she's got a skull. Her bum looks like a skull. Like genuinely, it's terrifying. She's got the
goodness.
bum of a Death Eater, is what she's got. And
wow, that's terrifying. So if she was ultraviolet, you just see this tiny bum skull floating around.
Tiny,
I mean, that's
like a tiny piece. Yeah, like a skull made out of chewing gum, just floating around.
Oh my goodness. Elijah, I'm sorry, Elijah. We didn't know it was going to go
sorry,
here.
Elijah.
But this is, it is your question, Elijah. So it's your fault, really.
So within the visible spectrum, I think I'd go for. I think purple would look great on a cat, and obviously red has already been taken by Clifford the Big Red Dog, and Marmaduke.
Yes, of course,
and Garfield's already orange, and there are already orange cats. So I'd want one that didn't sort of fit within that.
I mean, my concern for the cats would be that, cats do like to lurk about at night and pounce on things, and, they've got a very much a nighttime identity as an animal.
Yeah.
And my worry is if they were sort of really bright colours, wouldn't that really ruin things? Like, you can't really sneak up on a mouse if you're sort of like fluorescent yellow.
No, exactly, and that's why I'd go with. That's why out of all of those, I'd go with a purple rather than like a green. A lime green cat would be quite a wonder to behold, but is not scaring any mice. You'd have mice making fun. They wouldn't be like the mouse in the American Tale. There are no cats in America. None of that. Like they'd just be hanging around, looking at it, going, look at that, it looks like a big lime.
I do worry mice would just have the run of things. There'd be. I mean, there's a lot of mice anyway, but there'd be even more if they all could see the cat miles away and have absolutely no fear of it. Yeah.
Which would also, Which is why I think an ultraviolet cat would be a better thing. On account of also because cats can see ultraviolet. Genuinely, they can see ultraviolet, cats, because that's part of how they track mice. Because mice pee everywhere that they go, and mouse pee glows up under ultraviolet light. So if you get yourself an ultraviolet light or a black light, you can see whether or not mice have peed in your house. But you can also, because I learnt this because one of our cats was ill and just went, and rather than giving us any other hint that he was ill, he just peed everywhere.
Oh, lovely.
Not even everywhere. He'd just pee in places and go, I can smell that, but I can't see it, and I don't know where it is. So I had to get a black light to try and find exactly where he'd peed in the house.
Wow.
And that's kind of how cats can see anyway. They go and they can track them with that. So at least if they were ultraviolet, you'd be able to see where the mice had peed as well.
You've really blown my head, because the only times I've really seen ultraviolet are like sometimes in cool places or in sort of like clubs or like shops or wherever, where they use like ultraviolet to make things glow and like your teeth glow, as you say, and things in your clothes glow. And now I'm wondering, did all those places have cool paint and designs, or were there just mice? Was there mice pee like everywhere?
They had a problem with that. It's always that thing of going out to a disco or something, and this is why I think this is why I really have a thing about only ever wearing clothes once and then washing them. Just because the last thing I want to do is go out to a club looking all fancy. I've spent my money, I've made myself look really nice, I've headed on out there, ready to go dancing, get onto the dance floor and suddenly realise a mouse has peed all over my t-shirt. No one wants that.
No, that is horrible. And I mean, I suppose, I don't want to
You're going
upset
home
any
alone.
listeners. Yeah, I don't want to upset any listeners here, but our teeth glow. Does that mean, is toothpaste made with mice pee?
Oh, I don't know. We should probably look into this.
Yeah, we should do. I'm just a bit concerned. I don't really want to brush my teeth
definitely.
with mouse pee. Or alternatively, should we save money on toothpaste and gather all the mouse? I mean, this is going.
Maybe
yeah.
You've now turned this. You've made this weird now. Tiernan.
Yeah. I'm very sorry. It was. Yeah, I think we were safer back with the bubblegum floating.
We were.
Skull. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. I've got to remember it's a podcast for all ages. I'm very sorry. Out there. Wow. Well.
Maybe the mice are coming to save us.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. We've gone, get away, mice. We're going to get cats. We're going to get you scared. Oh no, actually, they are fulfilling a good role. They're trying to do dentistry whilst we're asleep.
Yeah, which I think is a nice dream, that, isn't it? That mice, they're popping in little holes in your room in the night and making your teeth all clean. That's
Polishing your teeth while you sleep.
Yeah.
That's why they're so furry.
It's got to be really frustrating for sort of mice that are experimented on, where they're thinking, no, we're just like, stop bothering me with this. I was trying to give you a filling.
Oh, you're testing toothpaste on me, are you? Well,
yeah.
Come on, guys.
Poor mice. Well, it's hard life.
Yeah,
hard life for them. Wow. Well, that was so. We're going for a purple cat or ultraviolet cat. Yeah. I think that's a pretty solid answer. Yeah, I haven't really. See, I said earlier that I think it would be bad for cats to be very bright coloured, but there's a bit of me that would like just a really awfully like sort of bright blue cat. I think mainly to annoy the cat, which is mean, isn't it? I like cats, but I think the idea that every day that cat would have to go, oh, I'm so obviously here when I really don't want you to find me. I'd quite
blue
enjoy
again.
That. Yeah.
That's just suddenly gone and sparked a little memory. But there was a cartoon when I was very tiny that was on called Little Blue. It wasn't about a blue cat. It was about a blue elephant. Who would, and the whole, I can now remember part of the theme song, playing in the bath one day, took his mother's fountain pen and bit it in two, and that's why they call him Little Blue. Yeah, he got ink in the bath and he ended up getting dyed blue permanently, which terrified me as a small child.
That's
the
really
idea
scary.
that, it is, yeah, and because my sister had once told me that permanent marker, she said, I once got some on my skin, and older sisters are terrible. Mine once, you might have to edit this story out. Mine once tried My mum's fed me soap powder because she convinced me that our parents were aliens and that we were aliens, and I didn't believe her. And she went, we have green blood," and I went, "No, we don't. I've seen my blood. It's red." And she went, "No, no, no." And she had those disclosing tablets, that you used to get at the dentist. And your dentist would, I don't know if they still do them for kids, you chew on them and it goes and dyes all of the dirt on your teeth, dyes all the plaque a slightly different colour. She had one of those in her mouth and she bit it and then spat, and she said, "See, it's green blood, we're aliens."
No.
You're old enough now to know that we don't get that we can't get enough nutrients from the food we're eating, and on this planet the nutrients that we can get from soap powder. And I went, "Oh, amazing. Yeah, okay, all right, let's, yeah, okay. But I still don't believe you. Your story lacks credibility. I want to see you eat some first." She went, "Well, fine. I thought you'd say that." And she had, like, a little cup, and she said, "See," and, like, licked it, went, tasty. And I went, "Oh, okay, I've seen you eat some." Turned out her cup had sherbet in it.
Oh, my gosh.
And
that is
and I got,
so devious. I'm quite impressed, though.
Yeah. And I ended up with a mouthful of soap powder and was like, "It's horrible." And she laughed at me. But she told me that permanent marker.
Yeah.
She told me that permanent marker, she's like, "Well, that's how they do tattoos." They don't. That's not how they do tattoos at all. And then I managed to accidentally burst one of those gold marker pens that they had and got some on my forehead and thought, well, this is going to be embarrassing. And so tried to wash it off and couldn't, and this is something that no one should ever do. Tried to use a pumice stone to get rid of it, and terrible situation. Never ever do anything like so. Don't believe elder sisters when they tell you things like that. Perhaps that you're aliens, or that permanent markers are genuinely permanent, like tattoos, because they're not.
Well, it's the lesson of all this is if you've got an older brother or sister, never ever believe them. Or if you, like me, I'm an older brother, in which case it's kind of your job. It's kind of what you're there for. I fully understand it. I feel like my brother would be a worse person than he is, and he's a terrible person because he's my brother, and therefore through just as family, I have to think he's awful. That's just how it is. I love him, but he's also awful,
appalling,
right? Yeah, and so it is kind of your job to make them suffer in that way, so that they grow up as better human beings. But don't make them eat soap. Baby, that's probably put that in.
Don't eat soap under any circumstances. It's horrible. It tastes awful. It is. Yeah, don't try and trick anyone into eating soap either. It's the worst thing.
Yeah, it's really not a good idea. I don't think anyone's. Yeah, I don't even think it leaves your mouth feeling like clean or anything.
It doesn't.
Really, no.
It does not. No,
and it means you burp and fart bubbles for days. Anyway, not nice. Not nice at all. Well, Bethany, I feel like you've answered Elijah's question, and I hope Elijah is happy with your answer. I feel like we've sort of comprehensively covered all the possibilities of rainbow cats, and I wondered if you'd be up for answering one more maybe quite quick question that we've had,
of course,
sent in from Eden, because again I feel like I feel like you'd be good for this. So Eden has sent this in. I'm gonna ask it to you, but I want to put the caveat that I'm not sure how to ask this to you, right? Because
hang on, it says from Eden. Is Eden the person or from the Garden of Eden? Maybe it's God asking this question.
Do you know? I didn't even.
Yeah,
because
it doesn't have
that.
It doesn't have a location
from the Garden of, and considering the question and just how important and big a question it is, which it does worry me that we haven't got time to discuss. I thought that this might be a quick one at the end, but now that you've mentioned that, maybe this is a question of our species, of life and the universe and everything. Perhaps this is. Wow. Okay. I'll try and ask it with some importance. Okay, I'll try and give it the gravitas,
reverence. It deserves. It really
Shall
does.
I ask it in Gregorian chant? Would that be? Do you think that would help?
I think that would really help at this point.
Okay, right. Well, here we go. Okay, this is from Eden. How do you poo?
Very well, thank you. How do you poo?
Well, that is what I want. If it's from Eden, a person, or maybe it's from the garden, I don't know. I did wonder if it is simply a way to greet, like, some people would look at it and go, it's a question asking how do you poo from your bum, right? Hopefully not from your knee or your ear. Go see a doctor. But it might be a lovely new greeting method.
How do you poo? Yeah.
Well, thank you.
How do you poo?
Yeah.
Frequently. That's I have horrible digestive problems, so often.
Sure.
It's sometimes I have to talk myself through it.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you, especially after big occasions like Christmas, when when Christmas evening, when you're going, not too sure about this,
It's
and
the thing
find
that
yourself.
people don't talk about enough about. It's always about the season for giving and the season for presents, but actually, it's the season for big poos. It's a season for really big poos.
They do that, but they talk about the Yule log, but that's something very different. As I discovered when I ruined a Christmas party. No, you want me to bring a Yule log to the table?
Oh no!
It's your family.
Goodness,
okay,
no.
I don't know what your family traditions are like, but okay, I'm not going to upset you.
Should I put holly on top? A sprig of holly.
You don't burn it like you do with the Christmas pudding, do you? Because I don't want to be around for that.
Well, I mean, but this is my concern. Is, and I could just I poo fairly often. At least always almost immediately after a coffee. I only have to smell a coffee, and a poo will happen. It's quite a good technique. If there's somebody that perhaps you want to make them poo when they don't expect you, just waft a coffee near them, and it'll just happen.
I'm like,
but
and as a Pokemon fan, when that happens, I will occasionally say, my partner will go, "You okay?" And I go, "Oh, a Diglett's appeared." And
that's a good phrase. That's really good. I like that.
Which is a nice little early warning system. Although as we get towards Christmas, obviously there are rumblings in Narnia. Aslan's on the move. I think is the best way to announce politely in polite conversation.
We our friends the other day who have a little dog, and when their dog needs a poo, they go, "Oh, he needs to make a contribution." And I thought that's really nicely polite, isn't it? Got to make a contribution. Yeah. It's just, that really tickled me.
He has an important little doggy meeting to go to outside.
It's
wonderful.
It's lovely. Yeah, I also like my other favourite was saying if you go for a wee but then you need a poo, you have to say, "Oh, I've got to upgrade to business class." That's
when that surprise happens. Oh, hello, I wasn't expecting that. Especially if it's combined with the ghost poo. Of the ghost poo.
Poos.
The ghost poo is a terrifying one when you go, "Oh, I didn't expect to need to poo," and then you turn around as you go to look into the bowl and you go, "Well, it's not there. What has happened?"
Where's it gone?
It's It's like Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. It's off down the pipe and headed off. It's made its break for victory.
Yeah, that's it, on a small motorbike. Yeah, it's terrifying. Terrifying. But I mean, but this is what I wanted to say is, would you we're discussing this as how do you poo, but there is something about it as a greeting. Would you like this as a greeting and because sometimes I think greetings are quite boring. How do you do it? Oh, I'm fine. That's quite boring. Yeah. But if we were to start saying, how do you poo? Is that better?
Yeah, I think especially in business meetings. I think you should start this and report back as to how it goes the next time you have a business meeting with a television producer.
Yes, I like that. And should we just check that's a proper business meeting, not a sort of upgrading to business?
Yeah, not upgrading
like
to business.
Making a contribution to a business. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I will do it.
Although that could also be a euphemism. I've got to go and see a television producer.
Oh no! Oh dear, this could all go. I sort of feel like my career is already in a difficult place. This could really ruin things if I get all of these confused and end up giving a poo to a TV producer and then asking how they poo and wow.
Going, okay, this is not what we expected from our Comedy Club for Kids TV show meeting.
Although if they listen to this show, it would be exactly what they expected.
Exactly, it should be what they expect.
Really. It is.
Yeah, they haven't done the research.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Ben. I feel like both those. Hopefully, the Garden of Eden is incredibly happy. I mean, I feel like They should be pleased with that, and Elijah too with his question. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having the time in between all your important making awful noises in inappropriate situations that you have to do.
That's quite all right. I'm going to go away and try and figure out a new one for the Queen. There's a big event coming up with the Queen that I need to prepare for. So obviously.
Yeah. That's
most inappropriate noise there.
Yeah. Any obviously you can't give anything away. Can I ask? Will it be a high pitch or a low pitch noise? Do you think you're going to go for?
As it's the Queen, I think it'll be a low pitch, out of respect.
Yes.
I think that's
very good.
That's
very good and appropriate. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you. I'm very excited to see, or rather to hear, what you come up with, and I hope that all of our listeners will be watching on the next big event from the Queen for Bethany's probably remarkably inappropriate noise. Yeah, cool. Thanks tons for your time, Bethany, and lovely to speak to you.
Thanks, Tiernan. Thank you for having me.
The only ones who didn't mind were the children. School lattices froze, and that was the end of school.
What amazing answers from Bethany Black there, and I'm so pleased that she'd come and do this show in between doing all those inappropriate noises at very important events, which is a highly necessary job. I'm very pleased that she does that. I'm sure you understand. I hope Elijah and everyone in the Garden of Eden are very happy with those replies, as I'm very sure they are, because they were excellent. And I'm most certainly going to greet everyone that I see now with "How do you poo?" and you should do too. Let's get that as the global nice way to greet people. I think people would love it. If you've got a really important event coming up, or maybe if you're seeing family over the winter season, you haven't seen them for a long time, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" and you can say, "How do you poo?" and I think they'd love that. I think they'd definitely love that, especially grandparents. Do it to grandparents. Don't forget, if you have Christmas or any other winter celebrations, or indeed just winter-based questions, like, why is it so cold in here? To which the answer is, because you're outside. Then do get your frosty, bleating fart pumpers, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk with those. I'm off to hang some crisps on my Christmas tree crisp. It's actually just it's a big crisp in the shape of a tree. It's quite hard to hang crisps off it. You have to sort of lick them a bit and they kind of stick. Anyway, and I'm going to try and get that Yeti off our packet of spaghetti, because I really want spaghetti for dinner, but he just won't move. He's very big and hairy and keeps trying to bite me. I really wish I'd left that elf alone. Anyway, have lovely December times, and do look out for our special Christmas podcast in just a few weeks. Linda, turn the lights out on your way out, Linda. Thanks. Linda? I'll do it then. Bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. It's the end.